All right. Shalom, shalom. So test. Let me test the sound real quick. Shalom, shalom. Shalom, shalom. All right, all right. The sound works now. And forgive me, brothers, for the if it's kind of loud on your devices. I still haven't gotten a chance to fix my devices yet. So right now I'm using the AirPods, and if it's loud, just kind of lower it so you can you know so I want to begin by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rakakadash, double honor to the others and apostles of Great Millstone, and enough respect to the brothers that are out there pushing us and spreading the truth, which is the gospel of Yahweh Bahashem Yahshai to the four corners of the world. Now, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bahashem Yahshai, we are here once again to preach the gospel, to prophesy, to declare the downfall of Babylon, to declare the downfall of the kingdoms of these worlds, to declare the destruction of this age, this eon. All right. And through the spirit, I have some article lined up and some through the spirit I'll flow through precepts, and then hope edification goes out to the house of Israel. Now, before we begin, I just want to begin with a news. It says New York's, you know what, eviction ban is over and thousands may get evicted. Okay, this is the reality of mostly Americans, but this is the reality of a lot of people, and this is one of the many curses that the Most High is bringing upon His place. That there was going to be that the time of increase was going to be taken away from this earth. All right, we're going to be lacking in all in a lot of things. So touching on this whole Russia and Ukraine thing, brothers need to understand that we are not in the this ain't World War III. It is something major, and that we should bring out. But you brothers should keep in mind that this is not World War III. Because the timeline of prophecy does not add up. The chip hasn't come to pass. And a lot of things are supposed to happen before before Yahushua comes, before 200 million missiles hits Babylon. So just let's kind of manage our expectations on that, and push the right things. But nevertheless, I just still want to bring out. I just wanted to have us focus in our minds on the things that the most that on one of the beautiful things that the Most High is able to do, which is um, to have a man walk the path that He has made for him without him even knowing. Okay, so but before we get into that, because I'm eventually gonna go into like the invention of the gunpowder, and how slowly but surely the Most High brought this world into the state that it's in right now. Because a few hours ago, the news came out that Putin has ordered nuclear deterrence to be on high alert. If I'm quoting that right, but I am still gonna read it. And so, seeing as how we are in the times in which a whole world can burn up seeing as how a whole world can burn up, in an instant. And I just hope to I thought it right that we should bring out that I should bring out how, or that I should um draw to attention how the Most High brought us to the stage that we're in right now. All right. Like you for the stuttering, a lot of sentences. Um, all right. This is it says sanctions are only alternative to third world war. All right. The United States President Joe Biden has said that he faced two options following Russia's offensive in Ukraine: start a third world war or hit Russia with economic sanctions. Okay. In an interview realized on Saturday, Biden insisted that Moscow will pay a serious price for its military operations. You know, it says, look, you have two options: start a world war or go to start a third world war, which is to go to war with Russia physically, or two, make sure that a country that acts so contrary to international laws pays a price for having done it. All right. Biden told actor and podcast host Brian Taylor Cohen in an interview posted online on Saturday. And you jakes out there that still don't believe in the Bible, that still don't believe in a prophecy, you need to open your eyes, man. When we tell you that this place is destined for destruction by way of thermonuclear missile, you ought to believe it. See, everything around you is playing out to that very conclusion, man. But yeah, you want to act so blind, you want to act so dumb, and act like when you don't believe, it doesn't come to pass. No, it doesn't work that way. You know, believe in prophecies, man, and order your life in a way in which the Most High can have mercies on you when the real things pop off. Give ear to prophecy, man. You take the Most High seriously when He tells you what I'm gonna make sure this place get destroyed by fire. But Jake don't want to believe that. Jake want to believe that this place is all good. Jake want to believe that this place is, you know, some carnal shit, man. It's all Jake is always on some carnal shit. Jake is always seeking for pleasure and deceitful pleasures as that at that. You know, what purpose does it serve you to strive to be a basketball player in the time that we live in right now? You know, what's going through your mind to think that you want to be a famous rapper, seeing as how we in the end of times? What the? What's wrong with you, man? Says 2 days earlier, Biden imposed sanctions on multiple Russian banks, several individuals, and Russian tech imports. Now, what I see happening is that this is going to be like an example. This thing that um, you know the America is doing right now. This so-called battling. How do I state it right? This so-called fight against Russia that they're doing right now. I believe that these other nations are observing it, man, and they are looking because NATO was ultimately formed to be in during the Cold War, I believe, right? NATO was formed to the intent that if you attack one nation, if you attack anybody within our coalition, we all come against you. That was the purpose of NATO, man. That was the reason NATO was built. Let me NATO was supposed to be like this great force that was going to overtake Russia, that was going to keep Russia in line. And so when people see it, when people see them doing so-called sanctions, it they notice it like, hold on, you're supposed to be this great, powerful thing that we rely on. You're supposed to you're supposed to crack their head in when they step out of line. But here it is, they're invading a whole other country and against your will, and you just imposing sanctions. Like, what the hell is wrong with you? You've been imposing sanctions on them from the very beginning, and they're still living. They're still thriving. They're still selling weapons. They're still increasing on your nuclear arsenal. The economy is still boosting. These nations, they are noticing that, and I'm gonna bring that out too. Says Biden has thus far insisted that the United States would not intervene militarily in the conflict between Russia and Ukraine, but has increased military aid to Ukraine and sent thousands of U.S. troops to NATO countries in Eastern Europe. Immediately before the outbreak of the military actions, Putin warned that any other country interfering in the advance on Ukraine will face consequences greater than any of you faced in history. See, this is the talk that Russia is doing right now against NATO. This is the yo, the threats that they give to NATO, these nations they see it, they realize that, and it's only going to be a matter of time until the Most High ultimately turns your heart to join God and Magog, in which that case the book of Ezekiel, the prophecy in the book of Ezekiel will come to pass when it says that what they will make war with many people with them, man. A lot of people are going to be flocking to them. There is something going on that I want brothers to understand. It's called the I think it's not getting as much media exposure as you know as it's supposed to, but it's called the Belt and Road Initiative, man. So this and the Belt and Road Initiative, it's something that Russia and China they are developing to the intent that they will make sanctions what obsolete. When that thing is complete, man, you can't place sanctions on China or Russia because we have our own network we have our own network of trade, our own network going on. We don't need to be part of anything else. And when they get that built, there is nothing on earth that's going to restrain them. Hey, Biden just said that what sanctions is the alternative to what to world war. So what happens when they can't? What happens when you can't sanction? You can't put a sanction on Russia. What happens when you can't put a sanction on China? What happens when you can't put a sanction on Iran? You ultimately have to what? Have to pull out the guns, man, and start shooting. Right. See, they see the increase in Russia. These other nations they see it. Those in NATO they see it. You know, they see that Russia is getting stronger, and it's all because of the Most High, man. See, we're not for Russia. We don't speak in favor of Russia. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna get it right now. Right. Ezekiel 38th chapter, starting from verse 1, it says, and the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, which is Russia, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against them, man. So even though we're saying that Russia's gonna be strong, Russia's gonna destroy America, Russia's gonna have a whole coalition against behind them and fighting for them, it ultimately does not speak in favor of Russia because ultimately Russia is part of the kingdoms that Yahweh is gonna break down, man. That he's gonna uproot and destroy. Russia has no place whatsoever in the kingdom that is to come, man. The kingdom of Yahweh, the kingdom of Israel, Russia ain't part of it, man. And they also gonna be slaves in the kingdom because they ultimately Edomites anyway. But nevertheless, the Most High has chosen Russia to be a vessel in which it will destroy America, man. And the other nations, they see it. They see it. Now, check this out. It says Belarus's Lukashenko warns of World War III. It says Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko has warned the West against imposing tough sanctions on Moscow, saying that such measures could push Russia into a third world war. Now, there's a lot of talk against the banking sectors, gas, oil, SWIFT. It's worse than war, you know? This is pushing Russia into a third world war. Lukashenko said on Sunday, as quoted by local media, he added that a nuclear conflict could be the final outcome, and that's true. Nuclear conflict will be the final outcome, And these devils, they know that. See, right now the Most High has left. Right now the Most High has left a little bit of sanity in their mind, So they know when they're going too far. They know when they've said too much. But the time is coming when the Most High will make them completely madmen, man. The Most High will take all reason out, and ultimately they're gonna go to war, man, and they're just gonna go all out. and kill each other. And like I'm saying, man, a lot of people don't believe this, but the Most High, the Most High has an extraordinary ability to have a man walk a path without him even knowing it, man. You bring this out, and the mainstream, the authority or the authorities, you bring out the fact that America is going to be destroyed. America is heading into a path of destruction, and then you have the those in authority. They preach otherwise. They say otherwise. Oh, America is a prospering country. Oh, we have plans such and such and this for these problems. And so you have the gullible people believing these things. But every day that we look into it, every time the sun rises up and we look into the matter, it's the complete opposite. They always it seems like they always find themselves in a position of war, man. Always find themselves in a position of conflict. Peace is a gift from Yahweh Bashim El Shai, man. And he is taking us from this world because this place is exceedingly polluted with wickedness. This place is saturated in wickedness. Thus, in the latest move against Moscow, the European Union, UK, Canada, and the U.S. said selected Russian banks would be cut off from the SWIFT international payment system, a measure Russia has warned in the past will be regarded as a declaration of war. Despite the threats of further measures, Lukashenko stressed that both Russia and Belarus will survive any sanctions. Listen to this, right? This is how the Most High has stripped Babylon of its power, man. Babylon ain't as powerful as it was back then. Babylon ain't as respected as it was back then. He said that what? Russia and Belarus will survive any sanctions, man. Any sanctions that you cook up, they will overcome it, and they have been overcoming it. They've been placing sanctions on Russia time and time and time and again, but every time they come back, but they're still prospering, they're still growing because the pride of Babylon has deceived them, man. She thinks that she can control the narrative of prophecy. She thinks that she's in control. He says, we will survive any sanctions. We have experience. We discussed this theme with Putin more than once. We will survive. It is impossible to starve us to death, man. Shalom, King Levi, Shalom, Yahweh Shemashah Brakatha. Right. It says it is impossible to starve us to death. This is the warrior talking to them. Verse 4, Ezekiel 38, verse 4, and I will turn thee back and put hooks in thy jaws, and will bring thee forth and all thine army, horses and horsemen, and all of them clothed with all sorts of armor. The beast-like state that they were in back then. And it's always uh, 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 too extreme for people to believe it, but this is the reality, man. This is the how do I put it? This is the counsel of Yahweh Bashim Yashai. This is what he wants done on the earth, and this is what's gonna happen. You know, you think World War II was so bad that people have wised up and they will never go to war again, but that's not the case. Shalom, brother, shalom. I'm now Allah, shalom, Yahweh Bashim Yashai Barakatha. You know, and then it's not the case, man. And then jump down. See, what's going on right now is sort of like a trailer, you know, like a preview. You didn't believe that Russia was gonna be that Russia was gonna get to a point where they will be reckless and just start invading countries and start shooting missiles. Well, this is a preview of that. You know, verse 8, jump down to verse 8. It says, after many days thou shalt be visited, right? And the Spirit of the Lord will be upon them, man. So you know it's not gonna be something that you can. When the real things pop off, you ain't gonna have diplomats like they're doing right now to go and negotiate peace, man. When the spirit of the Most High is fully upon them, there's not gonna be any talking in that day. There's not gonna be any reasoning in that day. There's actually a proverb and a kind adage that says what the barrel of the gun is dark, and the barrel of the gun is like the mind of a lunatic, there's it's only darkness. There's nothing in it. The only thing that comes out of that barrel is what? It's destruction. That bullet, man. When it pierces your heart, when it blows your fucking brains out, that's all it's good for. And that is the mind of a lunatic. So when the Most High puts that spirit on them, that's how they're gonna be in that day. That's gonna be their characteristics. There's nothing left in Russia except for what? Except for dominance, except for destruction, except for the pursuit of power, man. All these missiles that they made, they're gonna use them. It's yo, don't be fooled, man. When they use words like nuclear deterrent, we only have these missiles so that somebody doesn't attack us. We only have these missiles so that people can respect us. Nah, man. They have every intention of using these. Well, the Most High, you know, so like it for the wind, in the microphone. It says, "Thou shalt be visited in the latter years. Thou shalt come into the land that is brought back from the sword and is gathered out of many people against the mountains of Israel, which have always been waste, but it is now brought forth from out of from which has but it is brought forth out of the nations, and they shall dwell safely, all of them." You know, and this is talking about this is talking about Israel, man. Verse 9, "Thou shalt ascend and come like a storm, thou shalt be like a cloud to cover the land, thou and all thy bands and many people with thee." You know, thus saith the Lord God, "It shall come to pass that at that time, that at that same time shall come into thy mind, and thou shalt think an evil thought." You know, it says, "Thou shalt think an evil thought, and thou will say, I will go up to the land of unwalled villages. I will go to them that are at rest, that dwell safely, all of them dwelling without walls, having neither bars nor gates, to take a spoil, the pursuit of what? Of power. To take a spoil, to take prey, to turn thine hand upon the desolate places that are now inhabited, and upon the people that are gathered out of the nations, which have gotten cattle and goods, that dwell in the midst of the land." And that is going to be what? That is going to be the ultimate motivation of Russia, man. Just consumed by greed. Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 14, it says, "Put yourself in array against Babylon round about, all ye that bend a bow, shoot at her, spare no arrows, for she has sinned against the Lord." That's right. You know, these events that are unfolding it's leading us to a climactic point of judgment. America is guilty of a lot of things, man. But most grievously, they are guilty of what? The blood of the saints, of spilling the blood of the saints. They are guilty of the slaughter of the Native Americans, the slaughter and the enslavement of Judah, man. Israel has suffered under Esau for a long time, under Babylon for a long time. They have taken riches, they have stolen. They had every intentions of what? Of wiping up the nation of Israel, man. Of wiping up the northern kingdom. They had every intentions of making the Native Americans extinct, man. It's true. Read about it. The very reason the bisons were an endangered species, the very reason the bisons were an endangered species, because that was part of their plans to get rid of the Native Americans. That was part of their plans, man. Because they knew that they depended on the fur of the bison. They use it to warm themselves. They use it to make shelters. So they plan to what? They plan to get rid of all these things, to starve them out. They were dying left and right. But then, yo, Esau once again get frustrated that they're not dying fast enough. So then he take another measures, man. Diseases. When he finally assimilates them into, he finally assimilates them, into his society. He puts them to work on the mines, man. And then they go out and they mine on fucking plutonium fields without no protective gear, and now they all have cancer. This is the doing of Esau Edom, man. She has sinned against the Lord, man. Any nation that comes against Israel comes ultimately against Yahweh Bashim Yahshai. See, you thought because they were able to take down Israel, because they were able to put Israel under their foot, they had this whole saying of what, God bless America. But that wasn't no blessing from God, man. That was ultimately a trap. No. Look, no nation on this earth will go scot free for even touching an Israelite, man. And back to the article, he says, we discussed this theme with Putin more than once. We will survive. It is impossible to starve us to death. This is exactly why I want brothers to look into the Belt and Road Initiative, man. Because I believe this is one of the reasons why they're so confident in these sanctions that's against them. Because they have their own, they are building their own network, man. You put sanctions on me, so what? I can still get gas. I got my own, you know. Um, this is Putin puts Russia's nuclear forces on high alert as fighting in Ukraine continues. It says in a dramatic escalation of east-west tensions over Russia's invasion of Ukraine, President Vladimir Putin ordered Russian nuclear deterrent forces to be put on high alert on Sunday in response to what he called aggressive statements by leading NATO powers. And we all know that the ones that leads NATO is what? It's Babylon, which the whore that sits upon the beast, which is America. The move means Putin has ordered Russia's nuclear weapons prepared for increased readiness to launch, raising the threats that the tension could boil over into nuclear war. Like I said, it is how do I put it? Um, what's that word? It is inevitable, but nevertheless, it's not happening in this moment, man. It's not happening because of Ukraine. There's a lot of things that's supposed to put in place. That scripture says it's supposed to be put in place before the ultimate destruction comes. You know, the least of them shall draw them out. For example, which is talking about what, the least of the Edomites, which is talking about what, the Amalek. Amalek was gonna be the cause, man. The move means Putin has ordered Russia's nuclear weapons prepared for increased readiness to launch, raising the threats that the tension could boil over into a nuclear war. And given it, the Russian leader also cited hard-hitting financial sanctions imposed by the West against Russia, including Putin himself. Amid the war in development, the office of Ukraine's president said a delegation would meet with Russian officials as Moscow's troops drew near to Kiev. And we know this ain't gonna be no negotiation. Ukraine ain't gonna do no negotiating. They're just gonna go. They ultimately going there to listen. Hey, you surrendering? No, I to turn your ass back. That's ultimately what's gonna happen, man. You know, they have all the power. It tells you, they'll tell you that they sent artillery to Ukraine, anti tank missiles and rifles. That ain't gonna do shit. You know, it's like it. says Putin, in giving the nuclear alert directive, cited not only the alleged statement by NATO members, but the hard-hitting. Oh, so I already read this. Um, Speaking at a meeting with his top officials, Putin told his defense minister and the chief of military's general staff to put the nuclear deterrent forces in a special regime of combat duty. You know, Putin threatened in the days before Russia's invasions to retaliate harshly against any nations that intervene directly in the conflict in Ukraine. And he especially raised the specter of his country's status as a nuclear power. Get this, right? He 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 specifically raised the specter of his country's status as a nuclear power. Putin specifically raised the specter of his country's nuclear status as a nuclear power. Now tell me this ain't gonna draw a bunch of people behind it, man. Because people respect power. Edomites, for example, they respect power. They're very, very proud, man. And the only way that they listen to you is when it's when you can show power. It's when you can destroy them. And Russia's exhibiting that right now, man. Prophecy will come to pass. Everything that the Yahweh Shai said will come to pass. It is a foolish thing for a man to for a man to hope for anything otherwise. It is a foolish thing for a man to believe anything otherwise. The words of Yahweh Shai, it's not a probability thing. It's an assurance. You know, people act like Jake, for example, act like they have their life to live. You know, what life? You know, what life did you create? You know, did you choose did you choose to walk up into your mother's womb to be born into this earth? And before you came into this earth, did you create a new reality for yourself in which you may live? Did you create the food that you eat? Did you create soil? Did you create trees? Did you create animals that you may eat of its meat? Bunch of fools, man. Proverbs chapter 16, verse 18. Pride goeth before destruction, and haughty spirit before a fall. That's right. You know? Why? Because pride is delusional. I mean, pride is an illusion. You know, it puts you like I said, pride is based on nothing. You know, so whenever you feel as though you have a lot of power, you you ultimately neglect the things that can destroy you. You know. So what happens? It ultimately catches you by surprise, and then you fall hard, man. A man thinks he knows more than Yahweh Shema Shai. So what a man thinks that what he can when the Messiah promises to bring famine, and that only the man that puts his trust in him, a man that is righteous, a man that works for the favor of Yahweh Shema Shai shall eat in those days. When the Messiah says that, a man that's prideful will say, well, hold up, I'm just gonna go ahead and get canned foods. I'm gonna go ahead and get noodles and get foods that don't expire, dog food, cat food. And then I'm gonna survive this shit out because pride. So what happened? Because he doesn't. What happens when the Mosai ultimately brings that famine and destruction? He gets caught up in it hard, you know, because of pride, man. So now the privileges of eating in those days, the Mosai does not give it to him. He's deprived of it. Now he's starving. If he can eat, he's not eating the right kind of foods. He's lacking nutrients. And I believe I brought it out one time when I did in life when I held church about how like lacking certain nutrients can make you go blind, man. um, let's see. Right. It says Putin is continuing to escalate this war in a manner that is totally unacceptable, and we have to continue to condemn his actions in the strongest way possible, man. So all they can do is be on fucking Twitter and type in all these things, and these other nations, I'm telling you, they see it. These government bodies of these other nations of NATO, they see it, man. They're not blind as to what's going on. That club life, you know, that I'm living my best, that YOLO life, the Most High took it away, man. The Most High has been hitting this earth, man. Has been hitting this world. What one hit after the other. And this ain't even nothing, man. This ain't even a real thing that's supposed to come upon this place. And you still walk around prideful, you know. You still don't have the fear of the Lord in your heart. You still won't repent. Um, let me see. It says we need to be restrained here so as to not get into trouble, because nuclear war is the end of everything. You know? Yeah, these devils, man. They secretly they want to keep their kingdom, and they don't want everything to be destroyed. They love their kingdom. They've worked too hard for what they have right now, but nevertheless, the counsel of the Most High shall stand, because your will ain't your own, man. It is His will. And the moments in which Russia feels as though they have victory, they have dominance over the world, the more Yahweh Bashim Yashai, Yahweh Shai is going to crack open the skies, man. And he's going to completely destroy this place. He's going to put them in chains. The scripture tells us in the book of Second Ezra that some were bound, man, that came to him. Right. So this book is called The History of Warfare, and it brings out, it highlights the most historical parts of warfare in history. And right now, it's the point where it explains the revolution of gunpowder. And basically, I'm going to bring it out and then just, like, again, help, let brothers know and keep in mind that the Most High the Most High is known for working in ways in which we don't consider until everything is brought into a conclusion. Okay. So it speaks on the invention of gunpowder, and then it goes on to say, and then ultimately to the invention of the gun, and then it goes on to say, from the 1430s onwards, the cannon deployed by the major states of Western Europe successfully reduce most traditional vertical defenses to rubble within a matter of days. So this was a complete one. This was a how do I put it? Um, this was like a change, a change in warfare. This is a complete. I'm trying to find a better way to put it, but this was like a how do I? Is it this warfare in this manner was revolutionary. Gone were the days where you rode into battle with a bow, with a crossbow, with a sword, with a fucking armor on. You know, gone were those days. So it says they could successfully reduce most traditional vertical defenses to rubble within a matter of days. Harfleur, Harfleur, which had resisted a siege for 6 weeks in 1415 and for 6 months in 1440, fell to Charles VII of France in December of 1449 after only 17 days, thanks to the damage inflicted by the 16 bombard founded especially for the task. So there was a time where a city can fortify itself, can defend itself for months, man, in terms of like siege warfare. But when it came to the invention of like fighting by fire, man, they could roll in like a cannon and then set it around the city and blow that shit to pieces, man. And within a matter of days, your city was taken. Your city was turned into rubble, man. Your city was no more. And Harfleur was just one of over 70 English strongholds in Normandy to be regained by the French between May 1449 and August 1450. Not all were subdued by bombardment. Some of them were abandoned because they were deemed indefensible, while a surprising number, right, fell through treachery. But most surrendered because the French sea train made further resistance impossible. Why? Because you couldn't go against rifles. You couldn't go against like cannons with a bunch of crossbows and shit, man. It was over for your ass. So you left the city, or you betrayed, or you betrayed your leaders and joined them, or something along those lines. It was a major change in the way men fought wars, man. And while Esau had this in his possession, he felt as though he thought it was of his own strength and of his own mind that developed these things. And when he was going around conquering, he didn't know that he was opening door. He was changing the way in which war was fought. What in how war was fought globally, man. And then considering something in military science that's called what I believe for force multiplication. And basically, when you just read into it, it goes into how through time man developed on our weapons, man, or we develop on how we fought wars. So if it was a rifle, now I have a bazooka, and then from a bazooka now I have a tank. From a tank now I have a jet, you know. And now what? And now we have gone to the point where a man can kill thousands of people with a click of a button, man, while he's on the other side of the world. Somebody over here. Right, Isaiah chapter 9, verse 5. Isaiah chapter 5, verse 9, chapter 9, verse 5, it says, For every battle of the warriors with confused noise and garments rolled in blood, but this shall be with burning and fuel of fire, man. And this is what? This is the purpose of Yahweh Bashmi Shai, man. It ain't saying like what it used to be back then. And whenever Esau discovers these methods in which they can destroy their opponents or their enemies, they don't realize that what they're ultimately doing is setting themselves up to a point where they can create their own destruction. Yeah, it was all fun and games when you could just roll up into a village and shoot a bunch of people. But okay, when guns became mainstream, okay, and then he says, "What I'm gonna invent this," and then that became mainstream, and then he says, I'm gonna invent something more than that." So it escalates, and now we got to the point of what, nuclear missiles, and he thinks he's all that, but he doesn't know that he has invented his own destruction. The Most High is gonna strike him with madness, man. No, get it right now. Yeah, what's going on? Okay, trying to get into Isaiah the 47th chapter. We're gonna curse out this place. This is Isaiah chapter 47. Isaiah 47, starting from verse 1. It says, Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground, for there is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans. Thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. And I believe Kim Jong Un says something to that effect. Right now. Right. It says it was an article. It says, "Gone are the days when the United States used to reign supreme, man. Gone are the days what when the United States used to reign supreme, and that is slowly, that is the case right now, and it's gonna manifest when this place is turned into ashes, man. It's gonna manifest when this place. Yo, can you imagine this America, man? The so-called greatest country in the world. Can you imagine this place being like a third world country? You know, you imagine this place, people in this place not being, starving like those in the land of Ham. That's a sight to behold, man. O daughter of Chaldeans, for for thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. Take the millstone and grind meal, uncover thy locks, make bare the leg, uncover the thigh, pass over the rivers. Thy nakedness shall be uncovered, yea, thy shame shall be seen. I will take vengeance, I will not meet thee as a man. All right? It says what? I will take vengeance, and I will not meet thee as a man. As for our Redeemer, the Lord of hosts is his name, the Holy One of Israel. Sit thou silent and get into the darkness, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called the Lady of Kingdoms, man. That is ultimately the faith of the virgin daughter of Babylon, of America. It's ultimately going to be the faith for all Edomites, man, even Russia too. You know, I was wroth with my people. I have polluted mine inheritance. We are the inheritance of the Lord, Israel, and have given them into thine hand. Thou didst show them no mercy upon the ancient one, hast thou heavily laid thy yoke. And thou sayest, I shall be a lady forever. Right, because that is complete madness, you know. You consider all the things that they did to Israel, and then these devils have the nerve to say, God bless America. I mean, what the hell is going on? Hey, the nerve of them, man. Therefore, hear now this: thou art given to pleasures that dwellest carelessly. Thou sayest in thine heart, I am, and there is none else beside me. I shall not sit as a widow, neither shall I know the loss of children. That pride, man. You know, we just read that what pride is the beginning of destruction. Pride goeth before destruction, and an haughty spirit before fall. That's why Babylon's gonna fall hard, man, because they don't consider the latter end. If you consider the latter end, you will plan right now accordingly, man. But they don't. They just still in their folliness. They still are consumed by greed. They're still wrapped up in their own reality. America is great. It's the greatest country in the world. America is the world superpower. Those days are gone, man. You ain't the only one who has missiles. Everybody has missiles. You're not the only one. You can't just roll up into another country and take their resources like you used to do back then. It's gone, man. You can't deceive people on how benevolent you are because those your secrets are what are uncovered. Your skirts are uncovered. We see right through you. Everybody knows you're the devil, man. America is like straight up the devil. It says, therefore, hear not this, thou art given to pleasures that dwelleth carelessly. That says in thine heart, I am, and there's none else beside me. That's right. You know, this whole paradigm, yo, they think as though they are better than the Most High. They feel as though they are greater than the Most High. I forgot to put my garment on, I just realized. Bring it with you. Yeah, they seek to replace the Most High. They want to determine what goes on in this world. They want to declare what goes on in another country. They always want to how do I put it? They always want to force the authority upon another person. Isaiah chapter 14, verse 14. Now I will ascend above the heights of the cloud. I will be like the Most High. That's right. That's what they strive for. You know, believe it or not, brothers, there's a whole research on how a man can be immortal. Yeah, they're trying to find out how you can grow without getting old. You know, damn devils. They think that it's a blessing they can take for themselves. You know, I don't need a Mozart to be immortal. I'm gonna go in and have my scientists together. and I'm gonna find these things out, find out immortality. You know, you're sick. You don't need the Most High. Don't pray to the Most High. Come to us. We'll heal you. You know, we're better than the Most High. Hey, you don't like how the Most High made you? Come over here. You know, we got you. You want some ass? I got you. But I'll give you some. I'll give you some fat ass. You want some? You want some breasts? You know, you want a heart? You want lungs? Hey, these devils, man. For thou hast trusted in thy wickedness, thou hast said, none seeth me. Thy wisdom and thy knowledge, it hath perverted thee. That's right. You know, because they have these knowledge, because they have how do I put it? Yeah, these this vast knowledge that they possess, or they don't possess it, but they have. They feel as though like, yo, yeah, like it has perverted them because it seems to be the source of their pride. You know, Psalms 10 verse 7 it says his mouth is full of what pride, cursing and deceit and fraud, and under his tongue is mischief and vanity. That's right. That's the only thing that Esau Edom is good for. He's only good for wickedness. He's only good for destruction. He's only good for war. Only good for lying, man. He can't tell the truth for shit. You know, the only time he's telling you the truth is when he has you in a corner, right? When he's beating you up, and then he just what the only time he's telling the truth is when he's exerting his authority over you. That's the only time he'll tell you the truth. The truth. For thou hast trusted in thy wickedness, thou hast said, none seeth me. Thy wisdom and knowledge it has perverted thee, and has said in thy heart, I am, and none else beside me. Therefore, evil shall come upon thee. That's right. Because if you live your life, if you only live your life in wickedness, you're gonna get the payment of a wicked person. Because that is how the Most High set reality. You know, if all you do is lie, you're gonna get the reward of a liar. If all you did was kill, you're gonna get the reward of a killer. All you did was enslave, you will get the reward of the enslavement, man. All you did was hate. People will hate you. The Most High will hate you. That's how it works. So when we tell you that this man's future in the kingdom is ultimately slavery and then extermination, that it's rightfully so, man. You know, this I think the one of the artists in Great Millstone brought out how they're making a documentary about the Hebrew Israelites, and it's like it's all gonna be fun and games until what prophecies pop off, man. Until everything we've been saying up to this time, up till where we get out of here comes to pass, and that's when they're gonna know, like the scripture said, that a prophet has been among them. That's the only way their eyes are gonna open. It's because it seems though they weren't meant to hear the word; they were only meant to experience the pain. Because ultimately there's two kinds of people. If you ain't the one, you're the other. There are those who are gonna listen to the word, and then there are those who ain't gonna listen and then get cracked up in the head. So everything that's happening over there in Ukraine and all these other parts, right? Esau about to get their wicked reward. Come on, brother, that's right. You know. So everything that's going on right now, all everything that's going on in Europe right now, it's merely a prelude to like a preview of what's supposed to happen. You know, look, we are in the end times. Everything that the Yahushua said was going to happen before his coming is coming to pass. There's wars and rumors of wars. There's rumors and wars, and then there's wars. There's earthquakes in diverse places, natural disasters happening all the time, man. Crazy things are happening. Like just like Yahushua foretold. And his coming will be glorious and magnificent, man. Yeah. Right. This is second Ezra chapter 13, starting from verse 1. It says, "And it came to pass after 7 days, I dreamed a dream by night. And lo, there arose a wind from the sea that removed all the waves thereof. And I beheld, and lo, that man, which is Yahushai, strong with the thousands of heavens. And when he turned his countenance to look, all things trembled that were seen under him." You know, everybody trembled at the coming of Yahushai. And whatsoever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burned that heard his voice, like as the earth faileth when it feeleth the fire. That's right. You know, the lasers. Now, I want to jump down to the main point, right? Let me see. Um, I want to sort of part where it describes him riding upon a mountain, right? Right. John 9 to verse 6 says, "But I beheld, and lo, he had graven himself a great mountain and flew upon it," right? "But I would have seen the region or place whereout the hill was graven, but I could not." You know, so the chariot of Yahweh Shai, the chariot of Yahweh Shai was so huge that Ezra's looking around, yo, is this a mountain? I'm trying to find out, like, this must have been cut up from a mountain, but it wasn't so, you know? Um, After this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were so afraid, and yet durst fight, you know? Yo, at the sight of him alone, man, you know, you had these nations were so afraid, but they still went up to fight. um, And lo, as he saw the voice, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lifted up his hand, nor held a sword, nor any instrument of war, but only I saw that he sent out of his mouth as it had been a blast of fire, and out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests. Man, that is the power of Yahweh Shai, bestowed upon him by Yahweh. This is our deliverance, man. And when he's coming, he's not going to have mercy upon you heathens, man. He's not going to have mercy. He's damn sure not going to have mercy upon Esau either. Let me see. I just want to jump into the main points and then close it out. Right, jump into verse 13. It says, "And there came much people unto him, whereof some were glad, some were sorry, and some of them were bound, and other brought unto them were offered. Then I was sick through fear. I was sick through great fear, and I awake and said," and I just wanted to emphasize those that were bound, man. Chains, man. They're gonna be put in chains, and he's gonna do all these things effortlessly. The things that are happening the things that are happening in this world right now, man. It's part of the greater conclusion of the coming of the destruction of this place, of the coming of Yahweh Shai, of the deliverance of Israel, and upon the destruction of Babylon. We ended off on Thessalonians. Come on, man. All right. Yeah, First Thessalonians chapter 5, starting from verse 1, it says, "But of the times and the seasons, brethren, ye have no need that I write unto you. For yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord cometh as a thief in the night. For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. This is the word of Yahweh Bashim Yashai. The day of the Lord, as it says in the book of Amos, is a day of darkness and gloominess and no light in it. And then he says, to what end is it for you? We all supposed to strive, you know, and that the Most High may have mercy upon us. We're supposed to work in the favor of Yahweh Bashim Yashai. But this world is caught up in the paradigms of what? Peace and safety. And so when the destruction comes upon them, they're going to get caught up in it. And it's terrible, man. The Most High promised it to be a terrible thing. So terrible that none of it has been experienced in the entire world. You know, so with that being said, I hope the house of Israel was edified. To the brothers that are listening, I'm going to say Shalom. Yahweh Bashim Shah Brakatah. To the few outposts that are also listening in truth and sincerity, I also want to say Shalom. Yahweh Bashim Shah Brakatah. You know, so I hope edification goes out. May the blessing of election be upon our houses. So until the next one, Shalom.